Hey, what's going on? You're tuned into the Daily Geek right here on SweetGeek.tv. I'm your host, Griffin, and today is August 28th, 2008. Let's get to the Geek News, starting off with story number one. Target has settled with a class action lawsuit against it, headed out by the National Federation of the Blind. They were suing Target because they weren't able to actually view Target's website. It wasn't accessible for people with disabilities. Target settling for $6 million. Story number two, which is kind of crazy. The AP is reporting that Yahoo may be moving to where, you might ask? Omaha, Nebraska. You probably don't know this, but before we moved here to Colorado, we were actually based out of Omaha, Nebraska, which is kind of crazy. And Omaha, Nebraska is right next to a place called Council Bluffs, Iowa, and that's where Google's actually putting one of their latest data centers. Yahoo's saying that they're going to bring around 50 different jobs to the Omaha area that are all around $70,000 a year. And let me tell you, that is a lot of money in the Midwest. Story number three, veoh, which is a video distribution site kind of like YouTube.com, has won a copyrights case basically saying that the DMCA Safe Harbor does cover sites that have automated process for users to upload their video. Now, what does this mean for YouTube? It means that they're probably celebrating because it's a federal case and it kind of sets a precedent that's saying that, you know, the lawsuit that Viacom has against YouTube for $1 billion really doesn't have much of a leg to stand on anymore. So I'm sure people at the Googleplex are celebrating this victory for veoh. Story number four, Internet Explorer Beta 2 has been released. Microsoft was saying Beta 1 was mostly for developers to kind of get your feet wet, check the new browser out, but they're saying this one is ready for users to actually start using it. They said that they're focusing the browser on everyday browsing, safety, and just the overall platform. Story number five, Blackberry Thunder. You've probably heard rumors, that is, about the Blackberry Thunder. Well, it turns out it's not going to be called the Blackberry Thunder, it's going to be called the Blackberry 9530, aka the Storm. Now, what is this Blackberry? I mean, is it like this one, the one that I have? No. In fact, it's going to be more like the iPhone, where it's going to have a nice little screen where you can actually touch and type right there on screen. I'm not sure what I'm going to think about it, but it's coming to Verizon in the next couple of weeks. We're going to try to get our hands on one and let you know how it is. Let's move on to story number six. Google. You know how I told you Google Earth was helping out Kristen Armstrong, the gold medal cyclist in the Olympics? Well, it turns out the scientists, zoologists, have been checking out 300 different herds of cattle. That's nearly 9,000 head of cattle. And they found out that cattle, when they're resting or grazing, actually face due north. It's kind of an interesting little geeky statistic that I thought I'd throw in there. Story number seven comes from Lifehacker. It's a series that I've been covering all week long that's talking about getting jobs. This one's about interview skills. It's called Tips for Talking Your Way into a Job. Now, it basically covers, how to talk about yourself without seeming boring or boastful. It's very, it's a very rough line to walk while you're in there, because you obviously want to let them know how awesome you are, but you also want to let them know that you're not talking about how awesome you are all the time. But I think it's definitely worth checking out, so do so on the interesting links below. Story number 8, NBCOlympics.com. I know the Olympics are over, but let's talk about a few statistics since I am an analytics junkie. They served up 75.5 million streams from a total of 9.9 million hours of video coverage, which is pretty good. They weren't able to make a ton of money on it, but it definitely shows that online video is going in the right direction, aka viewership, plain and simple. And BBC are also releasing their numbers, saying that they served up almost 40 million streams to 6.5 million hours of video coverage. Pretty cool statistics, I'd say. And one last note, I talked about the Blackberry 9530 Storm. Well, I'm going to include a link on the interesting links below so you can actually check out what it looks like. And that is the Geek News for August 28th, 2008. I'm your host, Griffin Granberg, for the Daily Geek on SweetGeek.tv, and I'll catch you tomorrow.